Hello. Today we're making a quick video on computer repair and when to know if your laptop or desktop needs to be replaced or if it can be upgraded and tuned up to resolve the issue going on with it. So just a little bit about me. I've been in the IT industry for over 15 years. I've had my IT business going on 13 years. We focus on what is called managed services. As a managed service provider, we specialize in managing technology for our customers, and we do that by installing the same security, the same backup, similar infrastructures. We align all of our customers in a similar fashion, which allows us to set them up for success. So we're going to jump right in to what are some of the things that you can do easily and also that are free to your computer to try and speed it up. So we're going to go over 5 things that I like to speed up your PC, and also we want to go over when to know it's time to replace the computer. So let's start off with step 1, which is going to be optimizing programs that automatically start. And to do that, we're going to hop over to Google. You're going to search CCLEANER Portable and then go to this link here, CCLEANER download builds. That will take you to this page. Scroll towards the bottom and download CCLEANER Portable. So CCLEANER is one of the oldest tune-up tools on the market. I have been using it for over a decade now, and it is a very good tool for an all-in-one easy place to find all the necessary items to tune up your computer. So after downloading the CCLEANER program, we're going to now extract it. And after the program extracts out of that zip file, let's hop in to the folder. So on just about all computers, you're going to want to go ahead and double click on the CCLEANER 64.exe. 64-bit, all that means is it is meant for newer computers, and their processors support what is called 64-bit. So on step 1, we're going to optimize the startup programs. So what this is your computer has programs that automatically start when the computer starts, and so we want to tell the computer, hey, I don't want this program to automatically start because, well, I don't need it. So we're going to navigate over to Tools in CCLEANER. Then we're going to go to Startup. So as you could see here, it's showing us all of the built-in Windows startup items. I don't have too many startup items, as I try to keep my computers fairly clean. Lots of times what you will see in here is things like Microsoft Teams or OneDrive, Dropbox. Here's a program called Mikey. That's an old password program I no longer use anymore. So as long as you know the program and what it is, and know that you do not need it, you can turn it off. Don't go turning off items you don't know what they are, or that say Microsoft. Typically anything that says Microsoft, you're going to want to leave. Now, I have experience in seeing startup items, so I can quickly tell that something like Real Tech here, that's for my audio, or my computer is an LG laptop. So I'm going to leave the LG items. This is one of my security programs. My OneDrive I need because my files sync in there. Teams I need because I use it every day and it needs to update and do its thing. So I have already disabled the programs I do not need. But examples, say if I didn't want my key to start because it's a password program and it used to just pop up right away and it would hover over all the other programs and it's annoying. I no longer use it, but I need it on the computer. I just don't need it to start right away. So I'm going to show you how easy it would be. You just highlight it and you can enable it or disable it that easy right here inside of CCLEANER. So once again, just be careful what you turn on and off. Mainly be careful what you turn off. I would do a quick Google search on the program to just make sure that, hey, this might be something that I do need. If it's a program that you're not confident in turning it off, then leave it on. So that's step one. Let's move on to step two, which is going to be optimizing background services that are not Microsoft related and that are not necessarily needed by the system. So we're going to hop back into CCLEANER, and if you see here on the right side, we have Windows services. So as you can see, there's a lot of different Windows services, and none of these are Microsoft related. CCLEANER automatically hides the Microsoft related services to prevent you from accidentally making a mistake, which might cause your computer to have issues after you restart it. If you do have more experience in Microsoft background services, then you can click the advanced mode on the right side, and now you see it unhides all the Microsoft services. But for this video, we're keeping it simple. So I'm going to quickly go over all of these. And once again, my computer is quite optimized because that's how I keep it. So as we can see, I have Adobe products turned off. The reason for that is because my monitoring system automatically updates Adobe. So if you were to hop on to our maintenance program, these items for Adobe could be automatically turned off as well because our monitoring software is updating those in the background. So here's a few other items for the Brave browser. I rarely use Brave browser. It's a great program for hiding your identity when searching the internet and trying to stay anonymous. It's a very good program for that, but I rarely use it. I don't go on it much, and when I do, I'll just update it manually. So that's why I have it off. Now here you can see a program called Fing. I have done research on this program on Google already, and the way that you can do that is quite simple. You can say, okay, this is called Fing.agent, and you can go to Google and do a quick search for Fing.agent and put service. And here's the answer right here. Fing Agent is part of a popular Fing app that helps people see what devices are on their network. So this is absolutely true. Fing is a legitimate program, and I use it to scan for different devices that are on my network. But I only need it to work when I open it. I don't need it running in the background while it's not open. It's a tool that I only use maybe a couple times out of the month, and so there's no need for it to be running all the time. So it's off. I have Google Update items turned off because, once again, our specific monitoring software automatically updates Google. But for your computer, if you are not on NYPC's monitoring program, you want to leave these Google Update services on and alone. So I'm going to go down the list, and as you can see, LG, Intel, these are hardware vendors. We want to leave them alone. Here's something for Firefox. Once again, if you're not familiar with what this item is, do a quick Google search for Mozilla Maintenance Service and see what it says. So I know this is for Firefox, which I rarely use. I only have it for testing purposes, so I have it off. There are other services I have already taken the time on my end and gone through and done the research on if I need it on or if I can have it off. So as you can see, things like Zoom and TeamViewer, they are off and not running in the background. Okay, so that's how you optimize background services. We're going to hop back into our quick list here and move on to number 3. Next, I always like to confirm what programs are installed on the computer and get rid of any programs that you might not need. It's going to help free up some space and possibly help the computer run a little bit faster if there's some startup items and background services and different files that are connected to that program. It can sometimes improve the computer's performance. So once again, we're going to go straight back into CCLEANER because CCLEANER is our all-in-one tune-up tool, which makes it easy to do. So while we're in CCLEANER, we're in the same tools area. Navigate to uninstall. So just a few recommendations while you're in here. While you're in here, anything that says Microsoft, I would leave it alone. So typically there's going to be items like, even though you see Xbox and the weather and tips and some weird items, these come built in to Windows 10 and Windows 11, and I'll be honest, if you take them out, they somehow end up right back on your computer after it updates and you give it a reboot. So my suggestion is to skip and leave all the items that say Microsoft Corporation unless you absolutely know it can be removed. So I'm going to quickly go through some of my programs that are installed and see which one can be removed or if any of them need to be removed. So I'm going to remove this program called Fing. So Fing, as you remember earlier, had a startup item and the service. They were off, but if you remember, I really rarely use it, and this other program, Advanced IP Scanner, it does really the same thing, so I'm just going to leave that one and get rid of Fing. So I'm going to show you how to uninstall this program. It's very simple. You want to highlight it and make it blue, navigate to the top right corner, and select uninstall. Now, depending on how fast your computer is, sometimes it can take a few seconds and sometimes it might take a couple minutes. Now we're just going to follow the prompts for the uninstall process. Some programs are different, some are similar, but just about all the time when an uninstall goes healthy, it will pop up with the screen and it will try and guide you through removing it. In this instance, we simply click uninstall. Very simple. That's how a clean and healthy uninstallation of a program is supposed to look. Let's move on and see if maybe there's another program that I do not need. Okay, here's Google Earth. Google Earth is a program I rarely use. I had put it on here temporarily to help out a customer, and it's really no longer used. So I'm going to get rid of it. Google Earth, once again, I do believe it has background services and possibly startup items, so by removing it can also help improve the performance of your computer. Alright, now that's gone. So I obviously have more programs that are installed. I'm not going to take the time to go through them. I think I've showed you a pretty good way to uninstall programs, and once again, if you're not familiar with the program, you can always go straight into Google and ask it what the program is and can it be uninstalled. So example, if it were Brave, you can go to Google and you can say, how do I uninstall Brave? And it will take you through the uninstall process if the company has the documentation. Majority of legitimate companies like Brave, WebEx, Citricom, Google, Microsoft, they're going to have full uninstallation documents for most programs. So you can simply go to Google and ask Google, how do I uninstall this program? And then you give it the name. So if it were Google Chrome I wanted to uninstall, you can say, Google, how do I uninstall Google Chrome? Alright, let's move on to the next step. Step number 4, this is a fun one, and we need to go through little settings to make sure that it is done properly, and I'll explain what some of those settings do so that you don't lose any of your passwords or internet history. So once again, we're going to go straight back into our great tool, CCLEANER. And now we're going to go to the custom clean area. And here we're quickly going to go through the options. I do not like to clear internet history, no history. I want to leave my history. All the other items, I actually like the way they are. I don't like clearing passwords for people because I don't know if they have passwords or not. So that's an item that you leave off. But say if you wanted to wipe out all your passwords in your browser, you would select this checkbox here and it will warn you, hey, you're about to delete all your passwords. Just to let you know, I'm going to turn that off though. If you scroll down, there's a few more items. I like the ones that CCLEANER automatically checks, and that's to empty the recycling bin, look for temp files, memory dumps, and Windows logs, which can sometimes take over 10 gigabytes of data, depending on how long it's been since your computer has been tuned up. We're going to switch over to the Applications tab now, and once again turn off the internet history because I do not want to delete any of my internet history. Now as you can see, CCLEANER likes to clean certain programs like Adobe or Apple or Google, and what it does, it goes in the background and it gets rid of log files and different junk. I typically go with whatever CCLEANER will recommend, as the program does know which ones to clean out the best. So I'm not having issues with something like Microsoft Office or Java or Teams, so I'm going to leave them alone. Alright, so now what we're going to do is click the Analyze button, and this is going to have to close our browser. So what I'm going to do is just copy that link, close out our browser, and say yes. And what's happening in the background is CCLEANER is automatically closing the programs such as Edge, Chrome, Brave, Firefox, Adobe, Google Earth, Microsoft OneDrive. So all these programs need to be turned off. So see it saying, hey, can you turn off OneDrive? Yeah, CCLEANER, try and turn it off. That's fine. So look at there. So computer's saying we have 6 gigabytes of items to remove. That's a good amount of items to remove. What we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and run the cleaner, and this is going to complete that cleaning and save that 6 gigs of data on the computer. Depending on your computer speed, this can take anywhere from, I've seen it happen in as little as a minute, and I have seen this run for an hour plus. It really depends on your computer and how fast it is, how old it is, what's going on with it. Like I said, sometimes it's best to replace the computer entirely, and we'll get into that after the tune-up tips. So what it's doing right now, if you can see, it's cleaning out Edge. It was going through the cookies, the cache, the different items that were selected in those. Now it's going through Google Chrome, going through the same thing, the cookies, the cache, and it's deleting all those items in the background that build up over time as you surf the internet. It looks like this should be done. There we go. Okay, now that that is finished, I would like to move to the last item on the page, and we're going to go back to the here are the 5 things to speed up your PC. The last item is a quick virus scan, which will help remove possible viruses that slow down your system. So the quick tool that I like to use, it's called ADW Cleaner, just like that. You're going to go on Google and do that search, and the site that comes up is malwarebytes.com. Make sure it's coming from malwarebytes.com. It's very important. I'm going to download that, and we'll let that download. So while this is downloading, I'd like to go over an item in the browser while I'm in here. So CCLEANER does have a tool for it, and we'll go through that, and I'll also show you in the browser. This is still part of step 4, which is going through browser extensions, which is very important. So if we hop back into CCLEANER and go to tools, you can look at the browser plugins. So here it shows you some of the plugins, or I call them extensions, that are installed into your browser. The reason I am going to go through the browser itself is I have found it's more reliable to go through the browser itself, as CCLEANER still needs, in my opinion, a little bit of improvement in this specific area. So at this point in time, we're going to shrink CCLEANER and hop into the browser. So to go through extensions, this is Edge, and here are the extensions. Here I can manage them. If you're in Chrome, you click the hamburger menu on the top right. I believe you go to more tools, and then you would see the browser extensions in there. So for this one, I'm going to go to manage extensions, and we're going to look through our extensions. Extensions are like little programs that get installed into your browser, and they can be very dangerous sometimes because they could be bad. If they're bad, they could cause things like bad pop-ups, or try and get you to call someone. They could steal information or redirect your search traffic. So it's very important to know exactly what is installed on your computer and why. So I'm going to give you an example of how to research an extension. So right here you see there's this ad blocker, dash best ad blocker. Wow, that sounds like a awesome name. Well, don't trust it just because of that. Click the detail button and look at a little bit of the details. So if you see here, looks like it's on a version that is not on version 1. It looks like they do have a little bit of a description, but not a whole lot about it. So to drill down more, let's go into the Microsoft Store to view it and see what it's all about. Okay, now we're really getting somewhere, because as you could see, there's been over 8 million users that's downloaded this, and it's got 4.5 stars. That's quite impressive. This is on the Microsoft website with live reviews from real people and real comments, though that is what is important. Say if there was no information here on the Microsoft Store, or if it were in the Chrome Store, or if it were in the Firefox Store, or if it were in the Brave Store, the same rules apply to all the different browsers. So example, if you're in Chrome, you would just be searching the Google Extension Store for the review and the item that you're looking at. Let's look at one more, and I'm going to research it in a different way. So here's another one called Print Friendly in PDF. I'm just going to highlight and copy the name of that, and we're going to hop over into Google, and we're going to paste, and then you're just going to put review. So the name of the extension and then review after it. So as you can see, here's one for Firefox, here's one for Mozilla, here's one for Chrome. I'm going to pop into the one for Chrome and see what Google's review is of it. Whoa, so as you see, this is a legitimate program as well. 1 million plus downloads. Looks like a 4 out of 4 or 4.4 out of 5 star. It's very impressive. No abuse reported. A very nice description of the program. And if you drill down, I know that you can look at the reviews and you can read people's comments. Okay. Of course, having people that are like this, it's still common. I've been using this program for years. Every once in a while you'll have someone who just doesn't like the program. I've never had malware, I've never had redirects, never had any issues with this extension, but you do have to take into consideration people's comments. As you can see though, a majority of these comments are legit. So I would say this is a trusted plugin. Well, let's go through a couple others. So as I'm drilling down here, I see this item right here, Detailed SEO Extension. This is an extension that I rarely use, and quite honestly, it's bugging me. I'll show you what it does. So if I go to Google and I do a search, just something like car, that specific extension is actually going through the Google search and giving me keyword options or keyword statistics on what I'm searching, which is really neat when I'm optimizing my website or doing something SEO related. But other than that, it kind of just gets in the way and it's annoying. So I'm going to turn it off. Here's another program that I don't use. I've done the research on these programs that you see me turning them off. They're safe, they're legitimate, but I just don't need them turned on. So I'm going to turn them off. Now, if you wanted to remove something entirely, it's as easy as coming here, clicking the remove button, and approving the remove. And that item is going to get removed from your browser. Alright, let's finish up into our last step, and that's going to be the quick virus scan with our tool, ADW Cleaner. So I'm going to pop back into the download here and run the ADW. It looks like it wants me to do a restart before I'm able to install the program. We want to download this ADW program, which shouldn't require an install. Oh, let's see, there we go. I opened the wrong thing. Okay, here we go. Open ADW Cleaner. Here we go. So this is what ADW looks like. I'm going to close my browser. Let's see. After I bookmark the page real quick. Okay. Now we're going to start a scan. There's nothing special that you need to do. Just click the scan button, and this program is going to scan all the common locations in your computer for a virus. Now, this program is not by any means a one-all, cure-all program. There is no such thing, in my opinion. This is just one of the tools that we use as part of our tune-up to check if there's a possible infection in the computer. So as you can see, there were no items detected on your system. That's very good. It means it hasn't found any potentially unwanted programs or adware or malware or trojans. And so with this result, I am not going to dig deeper. I have many layers of security on my computer, and that's part of the service that we offer. So if you don't need to remove or clean anything, you can just click the skip basic repair and then close the program. If it did find some infected items, you want to go ahead and complete the cleaning, and the computer should reboot, and after the reboot you will be set to start using the computer. Now, it is my professional opinion that if items are found with this program, ADW Cleaner, and any of them happen to be a Trojan or malware item, it's highly recommended that you take your computer to a specialist to make sure that the threat has been taken care of. So now I'm going to X out of ADW Cleaner because it didn't find anything, and we're going to discuss the very last step here. So this last step here of when to know to replace a computer, over the years, when I first got into IT, it was like 8 years for a custom desktop you try to squeeze out of it, and then it came down and it came down and it came down. And with laptops, it used to be around 5, and then it came down to 4, and now it's at 3. So as technology progresses and keeps moving faster, the computers will need to be replaced more often. The reason for that is when a new operating system comes out, like from Windows 10 to Windows 11, just because your computer says, hey, Windows 11 is out, and go ahead and install it, it doesn't mean things are going to go good and the computer's going to run great. And that's because your computer was not built around Windows 11. The hardware was not built around Windows 11. There are newer features in the newer operating system that do tie into hardware, and it makes a difference. So over time, as newer versions of Windows come out and newer programs, you do want to replace the computer just because of that factor. Another factor is going to be when to upgrade or replace a computer depending on the hardware that's in it. So as a recommendation, whenever we see a computer that has 8 gigs of RAM or less, we either recommend an upgrade to get it up to 16 or 32, or we recommend a replacement depending on if it has the next following items that are here. So if your computer has 8 gigs of RAM, should you upgrade it or should you replace it? Now, if the computer also has a regular hard drive, you might want to consider replacing the computer. If the computer has a CPU that's only a dual core CPU, that's 2 brains or under, then you definitely want to consider replacing the computer, right? So any computers that the CPU is a dual core that's like 2 brains, that means that computer is old, and it's not going to be able to handle the daily tasks that you're going to be throwing at it. Even opening up items like Chrome or Edge and watching a video on YouTube or getting on Facebook, the dual core computers nowadays, they run really slowly because Microsoft Windows, the operating system alone, really needs about 2 brain, the dual core CPU, to just run smoothly now because of how large Windows 10 and Windows 11 are. So just as an example, back in the Windows XP days, Windows XP was like 2 to 4 gigabytes in size. Windows 10 is about 30 to 40 gigabytes in size. There's over 250,000 files that just are there to allow Windows to start and run and do the things that you need, and that's not even including the files that come with your Chrome browser and programs like Brave or Adobe or CCLEANER, right? So computers are very, very complicated and they move very quickly. And that brings me to my last point here, which is upgrade or replace computers running Windows 8 and Windows 7. So Windows 7 is officially expired. If you're on Windows 7, replace your computer ASAP. Windows 8 is on the way out, and Windows 8 from the beginning was not a very good operating system, and so they came out with 10 very quickly. And so anybody that we see that's on Windows 7 and Windows 8, we typically automatically replace that computer and get them into something that is either an i5 and i7 with 16 gigs of RAM, a 500 gig solid state drive, and for the CPU, the i5 and the i7, whether it's a quad core, that's 4 brains, if it's 6 core, the hex or 8 core, those are all going to be good for work related items, like if you're doing web browsing, you're doing Word documents and PowerPoints and Outlook and YouTube. An i5 and an i7 is going to be the best CPU for your workload. Now, if you get a computer that says AMD, AMD is also one of the best CPUs in the world, and same thing with them. Just make sure that it's a 4 core, a 6 core, an 8 core, or more when you're purchasing a computer, because that dual core, the 2 brain CPUs, it's just not adequate in today's landscape. Alright, well, that's it for today. Once again, my name is Noah with NYPC, and I am a managed service provider. If you liked this video, or if you really didn't like the video, either way, I would love to hear from you. shoot me an email at noah@nypc.it or give us a call at 888-616-6972 if you're interested in signing up for our monitoring service, which we automate all of the items we just went through. So the entire video that we just went through, we automate in our service. Once again, thanks for listening and have a great day.